Welcome to Spider-Man Bloodlines right here at Comicstorian, where we take some of your favorite comic books, trade paperbacks, and single issues, and we break them down into digestible bites before I read them dramatically back to you. Spider-Man Bloodlines made headlines when it came out, because it's a storyline that was written by J.J. Abrams and his son. It tells the tale of a future Spider-Man with a child, a son of Spider-Man. But due to the pandemic, there were massive delays in the actual comic book coming out. Due to this, instead of us covering the individual issues like I originally intended, it just sat on our channel with none of you seeing the video. So instead of releasing each individual part of this, we put the entire thing together to give you Spider-Man Bloodlines, the Son of Spider-Man full story, before we even did the complete story. If you want to know what a full story is versus a complete story, here at the channel we do complete stories, which is basically 2 to 3 issues of your favorite superhero. A full story normally encompasses the entire story, every bit of it, no matter how long it is, and that's today's video. There's no real background to give you on the character. You know Spider-Man, you know MJ, and you're about to get to know his son. So here's the story of Spider-Man Bloodlines in full right here at Comicstorian.
Everything is pitch black, and all Spider-Man can hear is one thing: Tiger. He blinks again to see all the wreckage around him, but there is one person running towards him: MJ. He pushes the debris over to cover him, and he says, "Ah!" before MJ hurries over to help pull him out. She tells him that they have to leave, now. Just lean on her a bit and... Oh God. As Spider-Man stands up, he pulls out his mangled right arm, telling her, yeah, I know. I'm doing too good a job. It's embarrassing for the other guy." MJ tells him that they need to go. The rules are different now, and he knows that. But at that moment, Spider-Man's spidey sense goes off, and a large robot slams into the ground before him. It, along with several smaller robots, stands up stating, "Help, Spider-Man. We need you." Spider-Man tells MJ to go as the smaller robots jump in, pinning him to the ground. As he screams out for her to run again, his words trail off as he sees what is before him. MJ held into the air, a claw from the giant robot piercing through her back. The large robot tosses her lifeless body over the bridge, and Spider-Man screams. He webs out of the pile of robots and swings down to catch her. And a few days pass. Spider-Man, with only one arm, holds the hand of his son Ben as they say their final goodbyes to MJ. It was 6 days ago since the villain known as Cadaverous attacked the city, and he left a bloody mess in his wake. He claimed the lives of many, most notably the wife and mother, MJ Parker. 12 years now pass, and the now 15-year-old Ben Parker gets out of bed and does his daily routine. He brushes his teeth, he gets dressed, and he gets ready for school. Before heading out, he makes breakfast for his great Aunt May and sets out on his day. But while getting his books out of his locker at school, he overhears one of the bullies picking on a smaller kid. With an overwhelming sense of responsibility, Ben Parker intervenes. And a few seconds later, the bully is thrown through a door into a classroom. A short while later, in the principal's office, Ben says that he was just trying to help, and the principal tells him that this world doesn't need his kind of help. At that moment, the door opens and an older, scruffier Peter Parker walks in, stating that he's sorry for being late. He'll handle things from here. Once the two get in the car, Ben asks, "You're in town?" And Peter tells him, "Yeah, I'm between flights. I leave at 6. Ben says, "She misses you, Aunt May." And Peter stops him, stating that the principal wanted to suspend him. They're lucky that he only got detention. What he did was stupid and selfish, and Ben yells, "I was protecting someone!" Peter yells back, asking, "And how did that go for you?" As the two go back and forth, Peter slams on the brakes and he holds up his prosthetic hand, telling him, "Whatever is going on with you, it needs to stop. You need to try to, or maybe I need to." Sometimes, trying to help, it only makes things worse, Ben. Ben scoffs, telling him, "You probably need to get to the airport. We're close to home. I'll just walk." As he gets out, he walks the rest of the way back home, but when he reaches for the door, his hand, it doesn't let go. He begins to pull and pull and pull, and eventually the entire door breaks off of the hinges stuck to his hand. He sits up looking at the place where the door used to be, and later that night he goes to sleep holding a picture of MJ when Aunt May comes in asking if he wants to explain the new front door. He sits up and he says that the old one called him names. And May says, "I never really liked that door. Do you want to tell me what happened? Ben laughs. I wish I could, but it really doesn't make any sense. So the next day, Ben heads to detention when a young girl with blue and black hair enters the classroom. The teacher asks her to state her name, and she says that she is Faye Ido. And then the teacher tells her to sit, and after a few moments, Ben looks over at all of the paint splattered on the girl, and he asks if he was to get some green paint, would she know where he can find some? Faye loudly asks if anybody wants to switch seats, and the teacher tells her to be quiet. So Ben asks, "You're a sophomore, right?" She turns asking him, how the hell can a teacher be an explicitly sexist dirtbag and not be reprimanded? Yeah, it's my second year in this dump, and Mr. Foster talks about women like they're things, his things that he touches. So I did what had to be done. Ben asks, did it have something to do with green paint? And Faye stands up shouting, it only takes one person to stand up and say not anymore. Not as long as I'm here. But most people are too afraid to do the right thing. Have you ever noticed that? Meanwhile, elsewhere, Cadaverous sits in his lab, going over his data, stating that subject B901, variant OC413, did not make it. Failure again. Impossible without the key. We must continue. He looks over at a test tube with a woman suspended and tells her, we will never give up, will we? Later that night, Ben finds himself in a lake full of blood. He hears a voice calling out to him, and as he turns back, he sees his mother. He tries to move, he tries to shift his body, but he starts to sink, calling out for help. And as he screams for her, he wakes up, hanging upside down on the ceiling. He calls out for Aunt May, and when she comes in, she says that she'll help him down. There's something that you need to see. As the light switches on in the attic, she tells him that she's going to bed, but he'll find what he needs underneath the floorboards. Beneath the photos, the letters. He'll find what he needs. Begins to pull at the floorboards until one gives away and he finds a box. He sifts through the photos of Peter and MJ and the letters between them, but underneath it all, he finds the old Spider-Man costume. The next morning, Ben sits at the dining room table, thinking that he can't forgive him. Where is he? He's gone. He left him. May tells him that she can't make any excuses for his father. He was in such pain. He was such a good man. He was just... And Ben stops. Why do you keep defending him? All of this is because of what he did. Mom died on that bridge because of him. He's a freak. He's a coward. And he didn't just leave us. He left everyone. She goes on stating that what happened to his father, it broke him. Everything that night. But he still loves him, and so did his mother. So later at school, Ben flips through some Spider-Man photos on his phone when Faye shouts, Ben Parker! In his ear. He panics, gripping and cracking his phone. And Faye looks at it shocked that his phone is broken. Ben tries to cover up, telling her that he dropped it and stepped on it. Faye then leans in, stating that it was him. He was the one who beat up Roland. Trisha told Andy, who told Benicia, who told Todd, that she saw him throw Roland through a class door. Ben asks, are those even real people? And Faye grabs him, telling him, you shouldn't be ashamed. It takes guts to kick a bully like that. You did the right thing, Ben Parker. What are you doing later? He's shocked, but responds, kicking it like normal, just hanging out, chilling. And Faye tells him, good, give me your address. Later at school, Ben takes out Peter's old costume, pouring lighter fluid on it, and May asks if he really needs to burn the old Spider-Man suit. Ben tosses the match, telling her that he can't have anything connecting him to Spider-Man. Peter Parker's already ruined enough. Faye can't know that he's different, that he's a freak, like his father. Just then the door rings and Ben opens it up to see the girl standing there in a costume and mask. Faye pulls down her mask, stating that she went to the wrong house at first. It was a little embarrassing, but I'm here now. Ben stares at her shocked. I like your costume? Are we going to a costume party? She laughs. No, I'm the marker. You'll understand when we get out there. But we need to hide your identity. Do you have a mask or anything? He rushes over to the grill, panicking, looking for the Spider-Man mask, only to find it burned and singed. But May stops him. Don't worry. Your father always had one more. Later out on the street, wearing a costume a few sizes too large, Ben asks what they're doing. Faye takes out a can of spray paint and says that they're saving the world. Now come on! Faye sits on Ben's shoulders while she tags Predator on the doorway of golden text, stating, I'm telling you, your hero, Spider-Man, the suit that you're wearing, he had it wrong. You don't have great responsibility because you have great power. He got it backwards. It's up to us because we all have great responsibility, each of us. We're only powerful because of it. These suits tell everyone that we're a hero. And Ben asks her, do you really think so? And at that moment, the police tell them to freeze. Faye climbs up, holding her hands, and she whispers, asking Ben if he's a fast runner. He stops, pausing. Why does that? And she grabs him by the hand and she begins to run. Except when they turn to run, they run into another set of officers at the coffee shop. Ben pauses for a moment. All right, I might have an idea. Hang on. He holds out his arms when suddenly he fires a line of webbing, pulling the two of them into the air. She latches on, asking, how is this possible? And Ben tells her, so here's the thing. My dad, it turns out he was the original Spider-Man. So I have this crazy, super powerful strength and I can stick to walls and stuff, which is actually pretty annoying and it's all my fault. But just then the two of them slam headfirst into a billboard and Ben says, I know that was a lot to unload on you, but are you okay? She laughs. It's all right. That was awesome. And as the news gets out into New York City, the Spider-Man has returned. The news stations all begin to report, and it doesn't take long for word to travel, even overseas, to a lonely, broken man, Peter Parker. That night, Ben hangs from his ceiling talking to Faye when he gets a notification about an explosion that destroyed Oscorp. Faye asks if he got the alert, and Ben tells her, yeah, what is he supposed to do? And she tells him, you know, this isn't a game. We aren't just playing dress up. So a short while later, Ben swings over the wreckage to look for any survivors when he hears a faint call for help. He lands, lifting the debris, covering that person, stating, hello, fellow citizen. Just gonna casually and heroically lift this rubble for you because this is who I am. He helps the man up, asking, are you Spider-Man? Well, you did lift the rubble pretty heroically. And just then, Ben feels something in the back of his mind when suddenly dozens of Cadaverous' robots appear. The robots all lunge at Ben, so he swings away carrying the man, but he stumbles on the landing. The man says, you're not very good at this. And Ben yells, hey, I'm trying! And that's when one of the robots grabs him by the head, slamming him into the ground. Ben webs up, pulling himself up, pulling down the support beam on the top of the robots. As the paramedics arrive, Ben swings away with the man yelling, classic Spider-Man, swinging away into the distance. Once everything is clear, Ben begins to head back up as the sun begins to rise. And as he walks into his house, he takes off his mask and he sees the one person he wasn't expecting to return, his father. Hey there, Spider-Man. Ben rushes up to his room, and after a few moments of letting everything sink in, Peter knocks on the door. Ben stares and Peter sits on the bed telling him that he knows that all of this is confusing, but you can't do this. You can't be Spider-Man. It demands every piece of you and then demands more. You and your mother wouldn't... Ben pauses him. You did not talk about her! And Peter tells him, it's not what you think. I had to push it all away. I can't protect you. And Ben yells, shut up! Protect me? You don't even care about me! I thought I was a monster and you weren't even around! Get away from me! As he finishes, there's an explosion that launches the two of them to the ground, though. And as the smoke clears, Ben sees Peter hanging, skewered by Cadaverous' claws. Cadaverous tells him, got you. Ben calls out for his father, but Cadaverous asks, only a child. It was you we followed. Thank you. Ben tries to scream, but nothing comes out, and all he sees is red. When he finally comes to, Faye pulls his mask up, asking what happened. There's a hole in your house, Ben. Ben tells her, it was here. It took my dad, and I couldn't do anything. What am I supposed to do, Faye? She tells him that she might have an idea. And so a short while later at Stark Industries, Ben tells the receptionist that they need to see Tony Stark now. The receptionist asks, do you think that this is how this works? That you just come in here? And Faye leans in yelling, this is a situation of life or death. Big league superhero stuff. Now you better get us a Tony Stark or we're going to have you canned faster than tomato soup. So a few moments later, two War Machine bouncers throw them out. The woman walks up telling Ben that she just actually sent a team to find him. And Ben asks, who is she? And Faye yells, she's Ironheart! Riri holds up her badge with title CEO and says, it's just Riri now. Now you two are looking for Tony? Why? Meanwhile, over at Cadaverous' lab, Peter floats in a test tube with dozens of wires attached to his stomach. Cadaverous tells him that they have seen many here, and all this time, all these years, he is still just a boy. hiding from the pain, but don't you see it lingers? It doesn't fade on its own, but I may heal you like I healed my children. Back with Ben and Faye, Riri leads the two of them to a building off-site, and Faye asks where they're going. What are they going to see? Hello, new best friend? Riri doesn't answer them and guides them into the facility and takes an elevator all the way to the bottom. And as they step out, Riri tells them to prepare themselves. Tony is an obsessed, unhinged, drunken, narcissistic, and unfortunately, he might be helpful. Ben begins to ask who, but as Riri opens up the door, Tony Stark groans as he lays in his hot red, stating, "This is an adorable security breach." Ben walks up stating that he's sorry to interrupt, and Tony tells him, "State your name." Ben starts to tell him, but before he can get any words out, Tony says, "You know what, it doesn't matter," and he begins to scribble something on Ben's face. Ben turns back with Tony Stark written on his face, and he says that he's pretty sure Tony doesn't know what's going on. Tony tells him, "I might not be entirely sober, and maybe I've been living in a bunker for the past decade in a nearly comatose depression. But that doesn't mean... Okay, maybe I do need a little help. What do you guys want anyway?" Riri tells him, "Look who I brought." And Ben unzips his backpack and shows Tony the Spider-Man costume, and Tony falls out of the car. Ben says that he thinks that Spider-Man and Tony used to be friends, and as Tony examines Ben, he tells him, "You're so big now. Your hair is like your mother's. Where's your father?" Ben starts to cry. "It's all my fault. I can't lose him too, not like my mom." After explaining everything that happened, Tony brings everyone further into the bunker, bringing up an image of Cadaverous, stating that this guy actually kind of belongs to him. It's all Stark technology. In the beginning of Stark Industries, the very beginning, there were two scientists who worked here, who taught me, who were kind to me. They worked in special units, not developing warfare, but medicine, something radiobiological. They called it the Key. There were these pods for storing people, the dying. It was to test these new ways to help them, to heal them. But it wasn't right. The survivors all came out wrong, corrupted, angry. And if the survivors didn't die, they withered and rotted. It was developed by Richard Parker, your grandfather, Ben. That toxin is based on your own blood. It's in you as well as your father. Ben asks, "Who are these people?" And Tony goes on to state, Minka Tross and Ivan Renz. They were good people, decent, brilliant, and they wanted to just heal people, help them. But Minka died. Those people in the pods, they killed her almost a century ago. And as everyone heads to the surface, a bolt of lightning strikes the car before they can get in, and a powerful wind pushes everyone back. Everyone opens up their eyes to see the Avengers, the rotting, cybernetic bodies of Captain America, Thor, Black Widow, and Hulk. Back at Cadaverous' hideout, Minka steps out of her tube asking, "I died?" And Cadaverous tells her that he brought her back. He's done all of this for her. He continued the experiments and created their children so that he could heal her, so that they could be together again. Happy, yes? Minka pushes Cadaverous back, shouting, "No! There's something wrong! Something feels wrong under my skin behind my eyes!" Cadaverous reaches out, telling her, "I wanted you to be happy. I sent the children to destroy the child of Stark, the son of Howard." Minka turns back, grabbing Cadaverous, her arms continuing to rot and change, asking, "What is happening to me?" But back with the others, lightning strikes again, and Tony tells everyone, "You gotta keep running." Just then something massive crashes into the ground and the Hulk stands up. "Stark!" Suddenly Thor slams down behind them, and Tony says that they are after him. They just need to get away from him. As Thor grabs Tony by the throat, Hulk grabs Riri, launching her across the field and into a pond. Faye yells at Ben, "We have to do something!" And Ben puts on his mask, stating, "I don't know what to do!" As Thor lifts Tony up, "I didn't know! I thought you died!" And Thor raises his axe, "We did!" Just then there's a thwip, as webbing is shot over the axe, and Thor struggles to bring it down, and as he tries, he ends up ripping the leg off of his own statue. Back at Cadaverous' lab, he's thrown against a test tube with Peter and Minka, now transforming into something akin to an arachnid, shouting, demanding to know, "What is happening? Ivan, what did you do?" Cadaverous tells her that he used the key on her to bring her back, but it wasn't pure. The last day of their experiment, the day that she died, Howard Stark ended the program, deciding their work was too dangerous. He said that he didn't want to play God. He abandoned them. But he didn't give up. He took her from the grave. He preserved her. But their project was confiscated by S.H.I.E.L.D., where Richard and Mary Parker worked. Those fools didn't understand the power of the key, that it was capable of restoring life. S.H.I.E.L.D. wished to exploit its potential for warfare, for personal gain, so Parker destroyed it all of it, except for one creature containing the key, a spider. Cadaverous continued to research the best that he could, and then one day it dawned on him. Spider-Man. Somehow he knew that there was a connection between him and their work. To reverse the mutations made, he needed Spider-Man's blood. So he ran tests, and their key was there. To bring her back, he needed Spider-Man, and now they have him. But she is the only one who knows how to purify the blood, to remove the spider DNA. Teach me. I will make you better. Minka, still continuing to transform, says that he turned her into a monster. She can feel her body shifting, bones stretching and cracking. He has used everything up that was in Peter Parker. You have left me with a husk. Minka continues to smash the glass, pulling out Peter, putting him on the table, stating, he has lost too much blood. I will need more of an isolate to destroy the mutation, and there isn't enough of him to purify the key. Cadaverous tells her, perhaps not him. But there is another. There is a son. Back in the field, Hulk chases down Tony, yelling, seriously, get the hell away from me, Hulk! But just then Cap tackles Tony, pinning him down, raising the shield high above his head. Before Cap could bring it down, he's blasted from behind, and Tony gets up stating, you know, you were always so dramatic, Ironheart. Up in the air, Riri, wearing the Ironheart armor, shoots Thor with a blast, stating, oh, I missed this. Ben webs up the Hulk with Faye jumping on Black Widow's back, shooting her in the face with a spray paint can, and laughing, stating, and they call me the marker! As Faye jumps off, Riri lifts the Hulk, tossing him into the giant Black Widow statue, which in turn breaks the head off, sending it crashing down on Black Widow herself. And as the smoke finally clears, Tony looks at the wires connecting to Cap, stating that they were using neurochips. This is how they used to control the minds of the test subjects. Oh, my friends. Just then, Faye gets an alert on her phone stating that they need to look at this, and on the newsfeed, a reporter states that the bridge has been shut down and cars abandoned as motorists are attacked by what appears to be a giant spider. Minka, now a massively large red spider, shouts, I have your daddy! Come to me, Spider-Man! Come alone if you want him to live! Ben quickly rushes to the scene, and as he gets there, he immediately runs to his father. And Peter tells him, hey there, Spider-Man. She's watching us. At that moment, Minka crawls through her web, stating, if you wanted your daddy back, all you had to do was ask. Come closer. All I need is your blood, But before she could finish, several attack helicopters open fire, and Minka shouts, children, take the boy to Ivan. Dozens of robotic children leap out, and Ben begins to fight his way towards Peter. Peter tells him to run, but Ben says that he can do this. He can handle this. But before Ben could actually do anything, he's struck in the head and he falls to the ground. And as the robots pick up his lifeless body, Peter screams, "Give my boy back!" A short while later, Ben begins to wake up with a strange feeling. He tries to breathe with a tube taped to his nose, and as he reaches to pull it out, he feels his entire body is restrained. Cadaverous reaches into a small cylinder, pulling out a small vial of blue liquid, stating that she doesn't know yet all that he's done for her. Bringing the dead back, the miracles, refining the key again and again and again. Extracted spider mutagen. Will this trial succeed? This needs to work. Ben struggles to get up, asking, her? Are you talking about Minka? Cadaverous leans down. What do you say? And Ben asks, this was for her, right? You were the researchers before all of this? She died in an accident? Taking my dad, killing my mom, blowing up Oscorp? This has all got to do with Minka? Whatever's in my blood, it means something to you. To save her. And Cadaverous yells, silence! He grabs a hold of Ben's face and he slowly begins to squeeze down, and Ben, muffled through the hand, asks, can all of this save my dad? But before Cadaverous could respond, one of the children jumps into the air, kicking Cadaverous back. Ben leans up, asking, what's going on? And the robot starts to undo the restraints, yelling, follow me! Ben jumps out of bed, webbing up the key, stating, I'm not leaving without this! And the robot grabs a hold of his hand and begins to run towards the exit as all of the other robots quickly follow. As they pass one room, Ben sees a wall of canisters, realizing that they're bombs. And the robot falls to their knees, trying to remain focused, stating, yes, bombs! Just then, Cadaverous bursts in, yelling, give me the key back! But the helpful robot grabs one of the bombs, pulling the pin, throwing it at Cadaverous. As the bomb explodes, it detonates all of the others, throwing the two of them out of the room. But before the helping robot gets back up, it falls back to its knees, yelling, "Something hurts inside! Leave before he finds us! Before I turn back!" Ben looks at the wiring on the back of the robot's neck, stating, "Tony did this. Let's try this." He pulls at one of the cables, asking, "Did it help?" And the robot springs up, "Yes, thank you. This way." Ben follows the robot, and as they pass through the next door, he sees that they are actually on a floating ship. And he stops, asking, "What are we supposed to do now?" Just then, Cadaverous breaks through, shouting, "Give me the key!" Ben quickly grabs the robot's hand, but at that moment, there's a blur of light as Tony flies by, shouting, "Man, my timing's killer. Like, seriously." Tony brings Ben and the robot back to the bridge, and Ben yells, "Dad! Faye! Look! I brought extra help! And somehow I'm not dead!" Tony sets Ben down, and Ben hurries over to Peter, asking how he feels. Peter says, it hurts to move, talk, breathe, and blink, apparently. Also, I'm pretty cold. Ben takes out the key, stating that this was for him. It could save him. But before Ben could use the syringe, Minka crashes down, knocking everyone to the ground. She holds up Riri, shouting, "I need it! My key! My cure! Where is it?" Minka throws Riri into Tony, grabbing Ben, shouting, "Give me the key!" Ben tells her, "I don't know after you threw me around." And Minka throws him into the ground. "Liar!" The robot takes it, walking over to Peter, stating, "This will save you, restore what you were." And Peter says, "Wait, you're not just another soldier, a child of Cadaverous or whatever. Why are you helping? Who were you?" The robot looks into Peter's eyes. "I think you know, Tiger. Let's make this right." Just then there's a massive vroom as Cadaverous lands, grabbing Peter, stating, "I'm sick of you! Give me the key!" And Peter throws up his arms. "Don't have it." She does. MJ looks at the needle in her arm, stating, You injected me?" Minka screams as she charges in, as Cadaverous tells her, "We will make another!" And she tells him, "Yes, without your help!" She skewers Cadaverous, turning to Ben, stating, "And now it's your turn!" Faye grabs a gun and begins to pull the trigger, but nothing happens. And Tony yells, "The safety's on!" But before she could charge it, Minka pins her to the ground, and just then there's a loud ka-slam as a beam is slammed into Minka's head. Everyone looks back to see where it came from, only to find the fully restored MJ standing up, holding the beam, stating, "Hey." Minka gets ready to attack, but then she hears someone screaming her name, and she looks over to see Cadaverous with all of their children. And he says, "I did this for her! I did not expect love, just kindness, tolerance!" And the robots all swarm around to hold Minka in place as they all start releasing the mini bombs around them, and she tries to shake them off, shouting, "Get off of me!" With tears in her eyes, MJ walks over to Ben, asking, "How do I look?" And Ben says, "Just like the pictures." As the two help Peter up, Peter says, "Why, hello, my totally normal family." And MJ tells him that they will get him help, but Peter stops her. "It's okay. I just wanted to see your face." She leans in, kissing him, stating that she sees him and she loves him. Peter falls to the ground, telling Ben that he knows that this is scary, that it feels like this is going to get scarier and scarier all the time, but he can keep facing it. He's more than ready. "I love you. I should never have left you, and I'm proud of you." MJ leans in, stating that they both are, and they always will be. Now but just then, his spider sense goes off, and Peter pushes MJ back, dragging Ben with her. But before Ben could even web back up, the entire bridge explodes. A little time passes, and after Peter Parker's funeral, Ben thought to himself that he never knew his dad like that before, in the red and blue. It felt impossible that he could be a hero, but he was. He is. Even through fear and failure, standing up and doing what's right makes a difference. It can change lives. The nice thing is that they're all filled with second chances. They can always be who they want, even when it hurts. But as Ben and MJ take a moment to themselves, Aunt May tells them that Tony left something for them. They take the briefcase and they set it on the table, and they undo the clasps. And as the case opens, they both stare wide-eyed as they see two brand new Spider People costumes.
And there you have it, the Spider-Man Bloodlines storyline written by J.J. Abrams. Now, I won't lie, when this book was coming out, I thought it was horrendous. I was 100% against it because those first 3 issues is basically every child of a superhero storyline you've ever seen. Oh no, I don't want to be with my dad. He's a superhero and he didn't tell me about it. Oh, well, I guess I'll do it for the sake of saving someone or a girl or something very similar. It just felt very, I guess, paint by numbers on a storyline's sake. But now, with the last 2 issues where we find out the entire plot, the inclusion of Riri and Iron Man, and the reveal of MJ, that really made the story work. This is one of those stories that honestly I feel doesn't work as a single issue, but it works as a full 5-issue graphic novel, which is the reason why I just said, screw it, let's put out the full story version as opposed to breaking this up into 2 to 3 different little videos. So, I hope you guys enjoyed this. I actually enjoyed it in the end. I thought the whole thing comes together beautifully, and I would love to see a sequel to this. Let me know what you think in the comments down below, though. Did you like his son? Did you like the storyline? Do you feel that in the end, Peter Parker went out like a chump, or he redeemed himself? Let me know, and don't forget we have a Patreon, patreon.com/Comicstorian, where you get early access to a lot of our projects and our videos and stuff like that, and you get early access to our D&D games and to our podcast. Thank you so much for your guys' continued support, and I will see you next time right here at the Comicstorian channel.